mothers and fathers, husbands and wives, sisters and brothers, friends for life. We won't live in the past. We're making it alive.
It's time for another conversation. Welcome to Make It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. And this time around, I have Karl Brown Sr. He's been married for 30 years, and you'll understand in a minute why that is very important. He's a Christian, and he says he's a family person. And based on my experience with him, he is just that. Welcome, Karl.
Thank you very much, Miss Daly.
Now, we're going to be unpacking how can couples make their marriage divorce.
Okay.
So
Very good.
how can we do that?
Well, first of all, I could give you one single answer that would nail it. But maybe we want to just look at a little bit of stuff because
Okay.
first of all, let me say, we're talking about heterosexual marriage, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in a heterosexual marriage, let us understand that man and woman are totally incompatible based on their whole biological makeup, because the man thinks from one side of his brain and the woman thinks other side of her brain. They're as far apart as white chalk and blackboard. And so one wonder then, how can a marriage be bulletproof so divorce doesn't? One has to look at the vows. Where do we start?
Okay.
We pay attention to the vows. When we make the vows, we say for better or for worse. And many times, people look for the better, and if the worst comes, they're out of it. So it's a determination. It is a mindset. There are many things. But that's just it in a nutshell. If you want to shoot some questions, you may go ahead.
All right. So you said the vows and for better or worse. Do you then think that regardless of what that worse encapsulates, people will just stick with it? And I have a follow-up to that based on your answer.
Well, there is no broad brush, I would say, for because I'm not an absolutist.
Okay.
Because when you look at the Bible gives a reason for a divorce.
Okay.
Right? And so there might just be a reason for a divorce. If people are going to get married, must first speak about what their expectations are. At least four things. One, what do I expect to give to the relationship? What I want to get from the relationship? What the other person wants to give to the relationship? What the other person wants to get from it? And be open, frank and open about everything. I spoke with a lady recently and encouraged her to get married. And I said to her, what type of husband do you want? She said, a man after God's own heart. I said, well, what are you going to do when Bathsheba comes? Because David was a man after God's own heart, King David in the Bible. Another woman. What are you going to do? So commitment is very important, though.
Okay. You said how can these expectations be known? Because sometimes, and I'm speaking as a single person, let me put that out there as a disclaimer. But how can those expectations known when sometimes some people say, but I didn't know about these things about the particular person, about the partner until I got married. So how then can people be clear in terms of that the expectations, are known? How?
All right. There is no one solution for every marriage, but people are very dynamic.
Okay.
And people have changed, seasons change days, people change ways, and so it is difficult, but there are some basic tenets that one can look at.
Okay.
And for example, you speak about what you expect. speak the truth about what you want. I meet you as a single person, and I'm interested in you, or maybe I'm just interested in something else, you know, and I am showing myself as honest and kind and true when all I wanted to do was to get you beneath my sheet. And you now wanted somebody who is kind and true. So before you know it, we go together, and before you know it, we are in one place together, and then we in bed together. Then when pregnancy come and gone, and you say the man wicked. But we never spend time to really find out what is it that we really wanted to achieve out of this relationship. And we never agreed to anything. When there's a commitment and an understanding and a commitment to the vows and a willingness to compromise and forgive, because forgiveness is important. Every marriage has problems. I in my introduction, I said I was married for 30 years. And you know, there are some songs that I used to express my feelings. And there's one that what's his name again? Every time goodbye by Barry Salmon.
Okay.
Yes, you think of saying goodbye, but you can't because you know. And then there's another one by I think it's Gladys Knight, right? That say ups and downs I've had few. She go on to say that for every moment I've been hurting, there's just one moment. I just love you. You're the best thing, right? That ever happened to my life, right? And so hurts will come. Times will come. But what do we do in bad times? And you see, when we pray together, it is strange though that the divorce rate among marriage is that of secular people, because we as Christians not doing something right. We want Christ without the cross. We want Jesus, we don't want the cross. We want to go across and follow him.
You've spoken to the idea of vows, which then speaks to commitment, expectations, and the whole idea of the spiritual component as well. But what is your reaction or your response to the whole idea that when I'm about to get married to somebody, and yes, you spoke about the fact of being open, but how much of my past should I reveal before entering marriage? How open is being open? Yes?
Well, you know, the person, one of the things it don't make sense to open about is if I live in the same community with you, and I had friends before I met you, and you had some guys. It's not good to tell you which girl I was with and all that stuff. No, because that can cause problem when you see that girl on the road, or when I see that guy on the road. So you don't open about those things, but you open about your emotional well-being, your emotional intelligence, your anger. You ask person what's the best thing you ever did in your life. What's the best thing you ever done? You check if a person was ever arrested. You check. You can check police records. If a person said they work somewhere, you can check it out, see if a person really worked there. How long since a person been there?
Yeah.
And talk with the person. Some people say you must ask other people about the person. That has its place, but I don't like that, because who the person is to the other person might not be the same person to you.
True.
And I prefer ask you about you.
True.
And so it is opening as you go along. You can be open, because some things you may not want to say. Right? When you know more about your partner, you can say it.
True.
So I was a thief, but I've changed my ways. I can't say that at the first going up. When I know my partner more, my partner knows say, I did rob some money when the company I was working with, right? But I've changed that. And the partner spent some time to decide, because when we go, nobody know what tomorrow holds. No one. And so it is faith. It is faith. Marriage is about faith to make it to the next day.
Marriage, it is an institution that some people actually fear. But we're talking about just how to make your marriage divorce proof. But we must take a break and get a word from our partners. We'll be right back.
You can't live your best life without a healthy immune system. Boost your immune system the delicious way with Zappy's organic juices and punches. Made from local produce with zero added sugar, our juices cleanse and revitalize your body as they boost your natural immunity. Try our delicious flavors. Beat It, Berry Bomb, Get Fresh, Ton Up, and Island Splash. Find us on Instagram at Zappy's Organics or call or send a WhatsApp message at 1-876-779-8910 to order today. That's 1-876-779-8910. Zappy's Organic Juices and Punches. Live your best life today.
Does your business lack branding? Having difficulty realizing your vision? Look no further. Splinth Brand Design Consultancy specializes in developing personal and business brands. Services include strategic management, website creation, social media branding, and more. Visit them online at www.wearesplint.com. Splinth, the brand you need to succeed.
This is a conversation that we will continue because there are a lot of us who need to hear from someone who's been in this marriage institution for 30 years. It is said that when you marry someone, you marry their families. But what's your take on that?
Well, we have to be careful with that saying, how we interpret that. You marry the family because you get into the bloodline of the family. And maybe the cooking pattern of the family and so some lifestyle illnesses of the family. But you don't run to the family when you have a problem. And because you have a problem, you run to mother-in-law and all that. No, you're married to your partner. The Bible says you leave and be committed to. Husband, love your wife as Christ love the church. Wife, submit to your wife. Wife, submit to your husband as to the Lord. So you love your parents still, but you're not married to your parents. You're not married to your sibling, to their siblings, your in-laws. So you don't do that. No, you're married to your wife. Commit to your wife or your husband.
I know, and I'm not asking you to share private things, but I know that the fact that you have stayed together for 30 years has not been easy. When you look back on that journey, what are some of the things that you think have kept you where you are with your wife and not saying, hey, I'm done with this, let's get a divorce? Outside of maybe, of course, the fact that you're a Christian. What are some of the things that made you say, hey, I'm in this for the long haul?
Let me tell you the truth. And I can't tell anybody watching the truth. I got married December. And by January, my wife and I wanted to divorce. We wanted to separate. But we sat down and we spoke about it. We sat down and we spoke about it. We decided that, you know what? We have to make some changes. We have to change this or change that. And Mark, you can't change the other person, you have to change yourself. Right? There are things I wanted to change in her and she wanted to change in me, you know. But she can't change me and I can't change her, so we change ourselves.
Love that.
And we were committed to the vows. We prayed together, we stayed together, we danced together. There are songs that speak to our hearts. If we hold on together, that was our anthem. I don't remember who sing that now, but play it on the Father those days. No believe so true. We are Christian, you know. We don't go sing in Jesus' name and holy, holy, holy. No, if when you're married and you're Christian, you can't just sing Amazing Grace. There's a place where you're wrong. There's a place for that. Right?
For the young ones who are coming up and look to you and they'll say 30 years seems like a lifetime, what is your advice to those who are yet to enter that institution of marriage?
I would encourage them to learn about themselves. Learn about themselves first and foremost. Know yourself individually. Then you learn about each other. When you learn about each other, remember that your partner is not perfect. Remember that your partner will make mistakes. Forgiveness is important. We have to learn to compromise, to forgive, to understand, to take responsibility also, right? So I take responsibility for my actions, and she take responsibility for her actions. I take responsibility for my inactions, and she take responsibility for her inactions. Because sometimes we are guilty of the sin of omission and the sin of commission. So I would encourage them to take it one day at a time, to seek marital counseling, not necessarily a pastor, but all pastors are marriage counselors. So seek a counselor who can guide them along the way.
As we're wrapping up, Karl, any final thoughts, or if it is that you wanted to just condense everything either in a 1 or a 2 point to say, in the grand scheme of things, when you're trying to make your marriage divorce proof, these are the 2 things, or this is the main thing, what would that be?
You make me wonder a while ago, you said we're wrapping up our marriage.
No, wrapping up the conversation, sir. The conversation. Yeah.
Because that is it. Humor is important in a marriage, you know.
It is.
Humor. So that was just a punch a while ago to let that in wrap up. That humor is important in marriage, right? So you share humor. You trust God. You pray together. Hold each other and pray together. Find something that both of you like and do it. Give space, because if I may just say, I have a friend who he had a girlfriend, and he works 2 hours away from home. So she wants him, she's at home. When he leaves for home, she wants him to call him like half an hour. After he leaves, 1 hour. And then when he reaches work, 1.5 hours. Then when he reaches work, to call her, and he reaches work safely. He couldn't deal with that. She calling him like all half hour. She calling him so often on the journey. He couldn't deal with that. While there's somebody else I know who said he would love that, right? So you have to find out what is it that you really want. Well, if it happened that you feel like you want a divorce, sit down and talk about it. Realize that the commitment to the vows is important. We married ourselves for better or for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, till death do us part. Let us stick together. Stick out the storm. Remember this proverb: a calm sea never makes a good sailor. A calm sea cannot make a good sailor. Jesus never walked upon a calm sea. He walked upon a treacherous sea. Peter walked about on a treacherous sea. A calm sea cannot make a good sailor. A calm marriage, you're not strong yet. But when you have the problems, and the mark of a good workman is not in the job that he does, is in his ability to correct his mistakes. And when you correct your mistakes in marriage, and the sea gets rough, and you can stay in the boat, and you realize the person who calms the storm, and you can say, peace be still. If you have to, if there's quarrel and argument, and you have to walk away for a while, you have to come out of the house, walk away for a while. Don't always drink a soup when you're hot. Because sometimes we do things, and we hurt each other physically in the moment, as one song in the emotion, right? We do very bad things in that moment. But I'm telling you this because I was an aggressive person, right? And I learned how to control my anger and just walk away. This songwriter said, walk away from trouble when you can. You don't speak if you turn the other cheek. Just walk away from trouble, And later on, you regroup and work it out. It can work. Find somebody you can trust to talk with about it. It can work. But when you get to the physical abuse and all them things, it's hard. But it work. It can work.
Thank you so much for sharing, Karl, from your experience that, a lot of us can learn from. We started out with the whole idea of for better, for worse, and went right back to it. The whole idea that when you do take that vow, it is for better or for worse. This was Making It Last podcast, where it's all about helping us to have better relationships, not just with ourselves, with other people. I'm Noreen Daly. Until next time.
Mothers and fathers,